Welcome to one of 4 of our meerkat enclosures. So we have this group here and 2 here, and then we have another meerkat group up at Lime Gorge. So these guys live in family groups in the wild, family breeding groups. They can be up to around 30 in numbers. This is one of our family breeding groups, and the alpha female's name in here is Rainbow. So all the family breeding groups always have an alpha female and an alpha male. The alpha female is the only female that is allowed to breed, and she can actually suppress the hormones of the other females so that they can't breed, and also change their hormonal kind of secretion, and they can help breastfeed her babies when they're born as well. So that's a pretty amazing thing. So these guys live in the southern parts of Africa, in arid and dry environments, in the desert environments, similar to what their enclosures look like here. And they're really well adapted to that environment. So as my gorgeous model just down here is showing us, they're amazing diggers. So they have, for their size, quite large non-retractable claws that they use to dig. And they do this to forage for food. They're mainly insectivores. They'll eat mainly insects, but they will eat other things as well. They get a lot of their hydration from underground roots and tubers as well. They can dig up to about 300 of these little holes in one morning looking for food, which is pretty amazing. But not only will they do that, I had a little squabble. So they have a very strong hierarchical structure as well, so they will sort that out. They're very strong social structure as well, and you can see those little squabbles are how they keep everybody in their place kind of thing within that structure. So not only do they dig these little holes looking for insects throughout the day, they also dig huge underground tunnel networks. So they're amazing underground tunnel architects. And that's where they live. They'll have huge big tunnel areas with little areas where they'll sleep as well, and many different bolt holes around the area where they live. They are showing us some of their amazing adaptations for life in the desert now, and some of their adaptations for the reason that they're such great survivors as well. So their numbers in the wild, he just went for the leap and didn't make it. Oh mate. So they have some amazing adaptations for surviving in the wild. Their numbers are really good because of this. So model number 1 up here, sitting on the log. This is the job that is the sentry of the meerkats. So the sentry position is there's always a sentry on duty with the meerkats. Because they have such a very high metabolism, not a lot of body fat, they spend most of their day when they're up outside of their burrows foraging for insects, digging for food. So this sentry will rotate probably around every hour. And their job is to look out for predators while everybody else has got their noses in the dirt digging for insects and things. So they sit up in one of the highest positions within their area, within their kind of territory, and look out for any predators. So these guys, their natural predators in the wild are things like hawks and servals and jackals and things, but they've managed to survive so well because they are really great communicators. So they have over 40 different communicative calls. Many of those are used for different types of predators. So they'll have a different call for when a hawk is approaching as opposed to when a snake is approaching, and they'll make that call, and every meerkat knows how to act accordingly when that call is made. So if, for example, if a hawk was approaching, that meerkat would make a noise or the communicative call to say that a hawk was approaching. Then all the meerkats will run for the nearest bolt hole. The females of the group, their job at that time is to scoop up all the young and move them to the nearest bolt hole, and they'll actually do something quite amazing. If they're not quite going to make it, and that hawk may get there before they do, they'll actually throw themselves on top of the young so that they get taken first, which is a pretty amazing thing. So some of our other models here, lying down on the hot rocks or in the sand. So as I said, these guys do have a very high metabolism, not a lot of body fat. And as we know, in the desert at night, it gets very cold. So it's very hot in the day and very cold at night. So what these guys do is they're lighter fur on their bellies. It's a little less dense and it's lighter in colour. So you'll often see them early in the morning in winter. Today, when it was a little bit brisk this morning, they were all sitting up, facing the sun that was coming up that way. And now they're lying in the sunny parts on there. So what they do is they actually, that belly part kind of acts as a solar panel. So they can store up all that heat in that belly patch throughout the day by either lying in the hot sand or facing the sun and kind of sunbaking. And then what they do at night is they move down into their bolt holes and they all snuggle together. And so that heat that they've kind of stored up in that belly patch throughout the day, they can then share as they huddle together at night to keep themselves nice and warm. If it's a really super hot day, they can do the opposite. So if you came here on like a 35-degree day, you'd see the meerkats either finding nice shady spots, or they will dig off the top layer of the soil and sand, and then they rub their bellies into the cooler sand underneath, and that cools their body temperature down. So very clever. Our sentry is also modelling his gorgeous Ray-Bans. So These guys have those little sunglass black patches around their eyes, and that's an adaptation for their desert environment as well. So particularly when they're on sentry duty, they spend a lot of their time looking up into the very bright, harsh desert light. And if they had lighter fur around their eyes would get more damaged because the sun would reflect off that lighter fur. So they have this dark fur, almost like sunglasses, that aids in protecting their eyes when they are staring up into the bright light. Their little dark patches on the back of their tails is an adaptation so that when they're running through the grassy, arid areas looking for food, they can keep contact with the meerkat in front of them, basically. Kind of like an identification thing. Some of them you may see don't have the back of their tail. Dot, who is one of Rainbow's sisters, has lost the back of her tail. That happened through an overzealous babysitter. So when these guys are babies, all of the babysitters, all of the non-dominant females, they look after the babies, they clean them and lick them to keep them clean and things like that, and groom them. And sometimes they're a little bit overzealous. And what happened with Dot was her babysitter was just a little overzealous, and so the cartilage in her tail didn't fully develop. She gets along just fine though. She can still sit up in sentry duty and everything like that. It doesn't affect her life here whatsoever. You can see that the rest of their coat is a kind of really nice dark brown dappled colour, and that really aids in their camouflage within their environment out in the wild as well. You can see that if they're kind of lying still, they can blend in with that sand really well. So these guys are super tough. They're great survivors. They are insectivores, as I said, and one of the amazing things that they have evolved over these thousands of years is an immunity to some particular types of venom of snakes and scorpions. So these guys can even teach their kids, their pups, how to eat scorpions. They're so brave. They'll go and they'll grab a scorpion and they teach the pups how to pull the tail off it, the stinger off, and eat the scorpion. They're immune to a few scorpion venoms, particularly the Kalahari Desert scorpion, and I've actually seen in the doco once one of these guys get stung by one, and they kind of fell over for 10 minutes, had a little bit of a woozy nap, and then just hopped back up and off he went. So it's a pretty incredible thing to be able to evolve that over thousands of years, an immunity to a scorpion venom. They're also very brave when it comes to snakes, so even though snakes are one of their main predators out in the wild, if they think that their numbers are good enough that they'll be able to fight that snake off, they will. And they'll gather around the snake and they'll nip at its tail and annoy it until the snake gets over it and goes away. So they're very, very brave. They may look cute and cuddly, but they're great survivors. They also have such great numbers in the wild because we've never really had a use for them as humans, so we've never preyed on them. They're not very full of fat or any good meat, so we've never preyed on them for food. And also their coats are very small and quite rough, so we've never used them for clothing either. So these guys are great little survivors. Anyway guys, as I said, my name's Dee. If you have any other questions about our beautiful meerkat families, please come and have a chat to me. We have had a little baby up in the third enclosure up here. See if you can spot him. He's growing up very, very fast though. He's just a little bit smaller than the adults now, so see if you can spot him up there. Otherwise, have a great day at the zoo. Cheers.